By the time I finish this sentence, 19,000 bathtubs of concrete will have been poured, according to The Guardian.
Wow, Eden, that's a lot of concrete. That sounds like it must have a hefty impact on the environment.
It definitely does, Lucia. If you look at the image on the screen, you can see that concrete production is responsible for 8% of the global carbon emissions every year.
Wait, how does concrete produce that much carbon dioxide? It's a solid.
That's a great question, Lucia. Let's send it to Juliana with the analysis.
As you can see from the image displayed on the screen, calcium carbonate or limestone is heated to create calcium oxide along with releasing carbon dioxide. The calcium oxide is mixed with minerals to form clinker, or the basis of cement, which later becomes concrete. Like Eden said earlier, cement production is responsible for 8% of the global carbon emissions every year. In 2020 alone, 4.1 billion tons of cement were produced. From this limestone decomposition to cement, 3.2 billion metric tons of carbon dioxide were produced. If we look directly at the energy required, it's about 5,647 billion kilowatt hours of energy to produce cement for a whole year. If you fully drain and charge a cell phone every single day, that only takes about 2 kilowatt hours per year. If you do the math, this means that each person on Earth could drain and charge 364 phones every single day to equal the same amount of energy it requires to produce cement. If you consider the carbon dioxide emitted from limestone decomposition and energy inputs, for every 1 pound of carbon dioxide emitted, there's 1 pound of concrete produced. Back to you, Lucia.
Wow, that's a lot of carbon dioxide.
Yes, it is. It's roughly equivalent to the amount of carbon dioxide produced if you drove from San Francisco to New York City 5.6 billion times.
That's crazy. I never connected those dots. Now that's a lot of emissions. How do they impact our environment?
Carbon dioxide emissions from concrete have a multiplied effect on the environment. After water, cement is the most widely used substance on the planet. As carbon dioxide sources are added, sinks are removed. Additionally, our environment has natural systems for fertilization, pollination, natural water rerouting, and more. When you replace these systems with concrete, more disasters from weather can ensue.
What can we do about reducing these emissions?
Since about half of the carbon emissions are from the fuel required to process the limestone into cement, finding alternate fuel sources could drastically decrease the emissions. Additionally, finding an outlet for the released carbon dioxide could be key. Some companies, like Solida, have started curing their cement with carbon dioxide instead of water, which not only decreases emissions by 70%, but also cures the product faster and makes it harder when the carbon dioxide reacts with the calcium carbonate.
What a great story! It really makes you consider the impacts that something so simple and mainstream can have on our environment. Now let's kick it back to Stephanie for our next story.